every day.
Yes, we
Um,
are.
but cool, yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in on Facebook. We're live with Captain Johnny Stabile of Lake Ida, Florida. So thanks a lot for being here, Johnny.
Of course.
Excited to hear about your trips.
Yes, sir. Excited to be here.
Cool. So yeah, Johnny, we were scheduled last week, and so we've actually done this once or twice. But now we've got the awesome live Facebook videos. So pumped for everybody to hear about Johnny's trips, and really excited to share them for everyone to watch after the fact too. Um, but cool, Johnny, we can just go ahead. You know how it works by now. You could just introduce yourself, where you fish out of and what kind of trips you offer.
Okay, so like you said, I'm Captain Johnny from South Florida Fishing Charters. I grew up in South Florida. I've been fishing Lake Ida for 10 years, give or take. And I've been professionally guiding on Lake Ida for the last 2 years. Part time for a couple of years before that, and full time for the last year and a half, coming up on 2 years now. Been around boats my whole life. Got my first boat when I was 8 years old. Hit and just kind of hit the ground running.
Awesome. Yeah, along those lines, if you get in your first boat, where did you grow up fishing? Who introduced you to fishing? What were those formative experiences like?
So my dad introduced me to fishing. We lived on the water in Fort Lauderdale, and it was very convenient. I had several birthday parties in the backyard where it was just 30 kids fishing in the
That's
backyard.
awesome.
It was just kind of the only thing that we did. I was never really into video games or sitting on inside or playing on the computer. I mean, when I was a kid, we had dial-up internet, so the computer was something we played solitaire on. So we were always outside. You know, I like I said, I got my first little 13 whaler when I was 8 years old,
Hmm.
and I mean, I used to just terrorize the canals with it nonstop. It was good. Every day after school, I'd come home. It was an old Evinrude two-stroke, smoky engine. It took me 15, 20 minutes to start it. And by the time I started it, I was ready to go inside anyway.
Yeah,
Um, and I just trolled the canals and, did a lot of fishing. Learned how to throw a cast net on that boat. Took that boat to the Everglades National Park for the first time ever when I was 11. So that boat was the staple of the beginning of my fishing lifestyle and career.
totally. That's awesome. So, where did you go from there? Kind of, how did you get into to guiding?
So I'm about to be 30 years old, and for the last 10 years, for the last 8 years, I've had my license for 10. For the last 8 years, I was in the yachting industry actually,
Right.
and it's cool. Not really the scene for me anymore. You know, it just didn't want to work on a full time boat anymore. So I was in between boats at the time. The last boat that I was on, I was just really unhappy with the owner. It was very stressful and everything, and I fished a lot in between while I was looking for another job, and then I just started fishing. Actually, one of my best friends, who is also a charter captain, he does offshore trips. Had They got blown out. It was blowing 25 offshore. The people still wanted to fish, and he called me up. He's like, "Hey man, we're gonna cancel tomorrow. Would you want to take these people bass fishing?" And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Why are we still talking about it? Let's call
Right.
him back. Tell him yes. So we took them fishing. They had a blast. Caught a ton of fish. And right then and there, and I mean, I'd fished with some guides before, like Hans and Lau down in Miami,
Right.
Captain Ben Powers in South Carolina, like really great guys who I probably wouldn't have been as open to guiding if I didn't fish with those two captains in particular. I'd fished with a couple guys that were on like TV, and they were just miserable. The two guys I just said, Hansen and Ben, they're both awesome guys. I talked to them on a fair to regular basis. And after that, it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, I need to do this like all the time.
Wow.
And that's kind of how it happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, and that's great. You know that those experiences with those other captains were so impactful for you. But you know, I'm kind of just thinking about it. You know, what would you say are like the similarities and differences between you know, working you know, in the yacht business and you know, helping out on those trips and you know, your current line of work, which is charter fishing.
So it's kind of similar actually, and I know that sounds weird because I'm running 100 less feet of boat now. Um, it's all about the experience, and if the
Right.
people are happy, and I mean, literally, we could be sinking and taking on water and on fire all at the same time, but if you can get yourself out of a situation like that where the people are still comfortable and they trust you and they're happy. I mean, we've gone out. I mean, where I fish, we average like 20 to 40 fish in a 4 hour trip, depending on the
Wow.
level of the angler.
Right.
I mean, the guys that come out and only catch, 15, 20 fish in 4 hours are just
Only.
as happy. I know. Where I grew up saltwater fishing, where if we
Yeah.
caught a couple of nice rides in a day, it was a good day.
Yeah.
Now we're
Totally.
catching 40 peacock bass in a day, and it's like mediocre. Um, they're having the best time just because I'm giving them that same level of service that I did in the yachting, and and it just making people happy. My one of my dad's best friends, he's like an uncle to me. We used to go fishing all the time, and in Flamingo, Everglades National Park, and he'd be like, "Hey man, we're just going sightseeing. Catching fish is a bonus." And you know, there was a point where I was like, gotta fish, gotta get fish. Like, I'd be stressed if we didn't get fish. This is before I was guiding even.
Hmm.
And I'd be stressed about it. I'd be like, we gotta find fish. And then you just kind of slow down and look at, I mean, you see crazy stuff out in the Everglades. You see crazy stuff in Lake Ida. I mean, from the iguanas to the birds to everything, snakes,
Hmm.
all the exotic species. Like, you're going out to sightsee, catching fish is the bonus of the trip.
Hmm.
But I live by that now, and even though we still catch a lot of fish, I still give them that same level of, hey, if we don't catch anything, you're still gonna have a nice boat ride, you're still gonna see a bunch of cool stuff, and you're still gonna make memories.
Yeah, awesome. So, you know, along those lines, you know, talking more about the fish, can you go into kind of the lineup of the trips that you offer, and you know what kind of fish you guys are targeting? Because it's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, so we do 4, 6, and 8 hour trips, and we're going to be targeting. So bass are found all throughout the U.S. and Canada, and probably a lot of other parts of the world. I don't really honestly know,
Hmm.
um, but we have the butterfly peacock bass, which was introduced to kind of keep down the invasive like Mayan cichlids and the smaller fish like the Oscars, and they were kind of put into control all of that. Well, now they've all those fish that they put in that were all like 2.5, 3 pounds have now grown up to be 5 and 6 pounds, and they make for a great fight. They fight harder than saltwater fish do, of the same size,
Right.
and it's a lot of fun. So we do the largemouth bass, the peacock bass. We have the very elusive clown knife fish, originating from Indochina. They were, I guess, a very popular aquarium, fish tank pet to have back in like the 90s. I mean, I have two in my tank, so I guess they're still kind of popular. And during the hurricanes, so 1992, we had Hurricane Andrew, and a lot of people in South Florida lost power for a very long time. So people were dumping their aquariums into Lake Ida. There's a
Wow.
huge community of Lake Ida. They were dumping their aquariums, and the clown knives and the Oscars and some of the cichlids, were able to sustain life, and it's a perfect environment for them because the water doesn't ever drop below 65 degrees or
Right.
67 degrees. And the clown knifefish can live in pretty much any water, low oxygenated water, because they come up and gulp air just like tarpon do.
Wow.
So you tell people that, look for something that looks like a tarpon rolling, but it's not. And then they catch one and then it jumps like a tarpon.
Wow.
It's just an easy way to describe what you're looking for. And then, we've got snakeheads, jaguar cichlids, Oscars, like I said, Mayan cichlids. We've seen koi. Just so many snakeheads,
awesome.
which, so many different exotics in the lake system. And we recently started tagging with Gray's Taxidermy. So if you come out on my boat and you catch a clown knife, we're going to put a tag in it and see where it moves throughout the 30 miles of canals and lake systems.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So, can you talk about more about how you're targeting these fish? Are you specifically going into your trip saying, hey, we're going to start out targeting clown knifefish and then we'll, target peacock bass, or is it kind of just you're casting and seeing what hits?
Yep. So, all of the trips, unless you ask for otherwise, we fish with live threadfin shad, and there are specific honey holes that I have for peacock bass and for the clown knifes are a mid-water column fish, so you're getting them as they kind of come up the slope of the lake to feed, and then you get them on the up or the down side of that. So a bunch of ledges that we fish for the clown knives. They're in a lot of the smaller canals where there's some concentration of bait fish. And the peacocks, they're loving structure and any kind of cover, docks, right. Any vegetation that's been overgrown. And some of the things going into Lake Ida 10 years ago, I was fishing in I don't fish in any of those spots anymore because I was fishing like a saltwater angler looking for trees and stumps and all that. And these fish are tucked way, way back under where you couldn't even get to them now. So we're definitely targeting them. We also have the sunshine bass, which is fun for kids. We just kind of float out in the middle of the lake, put live baits out, and put it all around the rod hold, wait for them to go off. And it's absolutely chaotic when you have 4 fish on and inexperienced anglers. But it's a lot of fun. So we definitely target all the fish differently. The only time that we'll see all 4 species of the 4 big species, which is the largemouth, the sunshine, the peacock, and the clown knife, is when we're actually clown knife fishing. We'll have the bycatch of the other 3. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's super diverse in the lake. It's totally urban fishing. You're in people's backyards, going under bridges. We go under 30 bridges in a full day trip. You're in the heart of the city catching exotic species found all around the world.
Yeah, that's fun. It's fun to just I feel like kind of scan the lake for those clown knives, and then also try to stick those casts in spots where the peacock bass might be hiding behind a few docks or something. That's really cool. Definitely. So what would you say is kind of like your most popular trip? Would that be like half day, full day?
So I do have a lot of people that book just the half day. They only want they want to get in, catch their fish, and get out. My favorite trip is the 6 hour because it's not as long as a full day if you don't have the attention span for it, but it's not as quick as a 4 hour trip. Just kind of flies by. So I like the 6 hour trip. That would probably be my signature. That gives you an opportunity to really, sit and wait for some nice big clowns to come by. And it gives you plenty of time to go into all the honey holes for the peacock bass. And that would be my signature trip.
Very cool. What would you say makes your trips different?
Well, different than what most of the guys that are doing here is, aside from the boat and the tackle, we fish with premium tackle and all that. But like I said before, there are no other places where you can catch such a high concentration of fish in such a densely populated area. There's so much pressure on all the fish in the lake that still to be able to go out and catch a bunch, I feel like that makes a difference. The saltwater is definitely a totally different ball game. Whether you're fishing Biscayne Bay or even like the coastal areas of Fort Lauderdale, there's just not as much pressure because people aren't really inshore fishing there; they're offshore fishing.
Uh-huh.
And the lake, I mean, I call it a lake, and you might think that it's like some small little pond, but it's a humongous, like I said, 30-mile long system. So,
Wow.
We're running to the outermost points of that system to get away from the majority of the people to find where we can actually, sit for an hour and have nonstop action.
Wow. Very cool. So what's it like when you put somebody on their first fish?
It's really rewarding, actually. I recently fished with some older folks. I mean, this lady, I think she was like 75 or 80 years old, never caught a fish in her life, never really went fishing. She was just kind of along for the ride. And I made sure that she caught the first fish of the day. I just, flipped the bait over under this dock that I know holds a bunch of them. And I felt the hit. I let it free line. I handed her the rod and I said, start reeling. And it was like, she had never done such a cool thing in her life. And then she came up. Peacock bass, they'll give you like the bass thumb. They have the little
Right.
sandpaper teeth. She put her finger right in the bass's mouth, holding it up like a trophy. And the same thing goes with little kids. When I don't know why, but taking kids fishing is extremely rewarding to see them catch their first fish. It kind of opens up a whole new world to them. Nowadays, the social media and the video games and
Right.
all of the online interactive learning that they're doing, just to get them away from a screen and put them with something that's mechanical in their hands and something alive at the end of their line. You can totally see it. It just opens them up. And at the end of the trips, the kids are like, no, can we stay for another, like 5 more minutes,
Yeah.
5 more minutes kind of thing. So it's very rewarding to see, kids catch their first fish and, even, people that are in their 70s and 80s catching fish for the first time. It's all the same. It's all the same reaction. Their eyes are lit up like they just saw Santa Claus for the first time. Like
Yep.
it's the craziest thing.
Still kids at heart, always.
Yes,
Awesome.
exactly.
So yeah, why do you do it day in and day out? What gets you up in the morning?
I really love what I do. I love. I'm a fisherman at heart. I've got rods. I'm sitting on my couch. I've got rods behind me. I've got rods all over the house. After spending as much time as I did in the yachting industry and how stressful it was, to be able to go out and get paid to do what I love, it's not really work. Like I commercial fished a little bit in high school, and that was work. That was 15 hours, 16-hour nights of hard labor work.
Right.
I like taking people out, looking at them, smile, have a good time, make memories with their kids, it's a great lifestyle. I come home, there's no stress. Even when we have, Hansen Lau actually told me, you will have good days with clients, you will have bad days with clients, you will have a good day being a guide, and you will have a bad day being a guide. And even on which I have yet to have a really bad day as a guide, but even on some of the days that weren't as great as the others, where the people are just kind of, either just, I don't know, just not feeling the whole program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They still have a good time, and I still see that, and it just keeps me going. Like I said, I just love what I do.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite memory that sticks out?
Definitely. So that 75-year-old lady that I was telling you about that caught her first fish, that was incredible to see. But also, and there's been a couple of very similar ones where, I took a dad and a son who the son was probably 6 or 7 years old, just old enough to hold a fishing pole and reel in a fish by himself. And the kid caught like a 5.5 pounder, and the dad caught like, the biggest fish that he caught was like a 3 pounder, and the dad was getting frustrated that the kid was,
whooping him, yeah,
taking him to the cleaners basically. And just, to see how happy the kid was, and to, they actually doubled up, and to take a picture, and, it happens so fast when it's happening, but then to go and look back at the pictures as I'm, emailing them to him at the end of the day, and to see how happy they both were, like, those memories are huge. It brings me back to fishing with my dad. Like I said, my dad introduced me to fishing, and we've spent a lot of time on boats together. We've had a lot of great memories, and we've had a lot of good memories, but where we would disagree about things. So to
political,
see really
political way to put it.
Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily a screaming match, but like, we obviously, as I grew up, we started to have different ways that we wanted to do things.
Right, and that's when you got your own boat. Yeah, at a young age.
Yes, exactly. But to see people making those memories, I mean, that's definitely the most memorable part of what I do, is to see people like that.
Definitely. No such thing as a bad day on the water. Just
Absolutely.
Just good ones and great ones.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So why do you think being a fishing guide is important?
So for a couple of reasons. I mean, people definitely need to get out and experience nature, and there's really not a lot of ways to go out and see so much of it in one shot. The other big thing is conservation. So a lot of the guides, myself included, are very pro for conservation and the future of, the future of fishing. I mean, I plan on having kids someday, and, I want them to be able to go out and have similar experiences that I did when I was a kid. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's see. So if you had one more cast to throw in your life, what would you throw, and where would it be?
That's a tough question.
It's my favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could think of so many places where I would want to have my last cast. Probably my favorite one, or the best thing that I could think of that I would want to do is, drifting across a flat anywhere in South Florida, and, preferably in Biscayne Bay or Flamingo, or, even drifting in the lake, and, sight fishing for peacocks. Like I personally, I love fly fishing, and I love, having, oh, sorry, it's my dog's running in. I personally, I love fly fishing, and I just want to sit on the bow of the boat, or, whatever, and just wait for something to swim in front of me, or I could, present a fly to it and let it take me for a ride. Big permit, tarpon, bonefish, peacock bass, anywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with a fly rod.
Yeah, very cool. What kind of dogs do you have? Just curious.
I have two little like pocket pit bull bully.
Oh, nice.
Bully dogs. They're something else. Let me tell you.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, so now we just have a few rapid fire questions.
Right.
So what's your favorite body of water to fish?
Lake Ida.
Boom. If you had to be doing something different, what would it be?
Boat manufacturer.
Cool. What other hobbies outside of fishing do you enjoy?
Man, I'm really bad at these. Something outside of fishing. Scuba diving, spearfishing.
Cool, nice. Do you have a nickname, and if so, how'd you get it?
Johnny Throttle. Got it in high school from my dad and his friends, because every time I drove the boat, I went way too fast. And that doesn't really stick as much today with the price of fuel, but Yeah, Johnny Throttle.
There you go. Good stuff. Do you have a favorite song or band right now?
I do. It's oh my gosh, what's the name of the song? I'm drawing a blank. I'm just gonna go with Sublime because I do love
Oh,
Sublime's
totally.
music.
Yeah. Very
Yep.
nice. Yeah. Actually, side note, yesterday I was interviewing Ken Roback, who's a fly fishing guide in Colorado.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, he's retired, worked at Lockheed Martin. Um, kind of an older guide. But I asked him what his favorite band was, and he said Dua Lipa. I was like, what is that? So I had to look it up. Apparently, ask my girlfriend. It's like the new Lady Gaga. So that's what Ken's rocking these days.
really?
But
Wow.
yeah, sorry, just
Yeah.
cracked me up. Not to rip on him or anything, but Sublime is a good answer too. What's your favorite movie?
Forrest Gump by far.
Nice, classic. Yeah, thoughts go out to Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we know he'll get through it.
He's on the mend right now, I think.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing pretty good actually.
Good stuff. That's great to hear. Do you have a favorite food?
Yes. So I'm Italian. I was born and raised on Italian food, but my favorite of all time is Mexican food.
Curveball there. Starts
Yeah,
with the Italian. Well, so like what kind of Mexican? Because here in Austin you can't just say Mexican. You gotta
that's true. I don't know. Taco Tuesday here is big, so
Taco Tuesday.
I like tacos and margaritas, and I definitely like. I don't know. They have like the pollo la plancha with the onions on it. I love that. I
There
don't
you
know
go.
what
There you go.
version of Mexican that would put me at. I just like
Nice.
Latin food in general. I like Cuban food as well, like the palomillo steak.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, with the plantains.
Boom.
Latin
Yeah.
food in general is definitely my
Yeah.
favorite.
Nice. Yeah. Can't go wrong with a margarita. That was going to be my next question. Drink of choice.
Yep.
But good stuff. Favorite sports team?
Ooh, the Dolphins. Even though they have not been the greatest football team, they are still home team.
You're not jumping for the Bucks right now with Brady.
With Tom Brady, I know. I've got a lot of Patriots friends, and they are so upset and
Yeah.
just like, they have mixed feelings. But yeah, I mean, the Bucks should do. They should do really good, especially if he wears that deflating ring again.
There you go, throwing some shade. I'm
Oh
with
yeah.
you. I'm with you though. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. Hold my breath underwater.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, all of our guides, it seems to always, pertain to fishing somehow, holding breath underwater, being able to see through the water, that kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was your last Halloween costume?
Oh, Popeye.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What do you want for Christmas?
Brand new 23 HPS Pathfinder with a Yamaha 250 shell on the back.
Boom.
But if I had to scale down for something that Santa could actually afford, it would probably be, I don't know. Gosh, an HPS.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you name one of the seven dwarfs?
Sleepy because I like to sleep.
How many pull-ups can you do in a row?
It's been a while since I did a pull up. I think the last time I tried it was like 9.
Solid. That might be the high so far for that question for our guides.
Yeah.
We usually get 2 to 3, a few zeros in there too.
I don't know. It's been a while. Maybe I'm closer to 4 or 5.
Is LeBron James or Michael Jordan the best basketball player ever?
No, it's definitely Dwayne Wade because we're in Wade County in
There you
Miami now.
go. Yeah, D Wade. Fair enough. What's the biggest fish you ever caught?
Um, Definitely going to be a swordfish. It was like 360 pounds. Back when I was commercial buoy fishing in high school, so that we worked on the boat, whatever, and we caught a lot of swordfish, and that was probably the biggest one out of the summer that I caught. Um, Other than like some big sharks, we've caught some big sharks too.
So
But
how big we talking though on the sword? What do you think?
360 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was like a 300-pound core.
Wow.
Um, you know, yeah, big fish. Fought him for like 2 hours, on buoy gear, which is a long time for buoy gear.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, just to wrap things up, do you want to give a shout out to the troops? Thank the armed services veterans.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I work with a nonprofit organization, and kind of going back to that question you asked me earlier about some of the um, you know, most memorable experiences I've had as a guide. Definitely working with the Freedom Fighter Outdoors. They're a nonprofit organization that takes fully disabled veterans out and puts them with guys like myself, and we take them fishing, and um, it's just a really great organization. I honestly can't say enough things about them. I just recently started helping them out. I fully support the military. Two of my best friends, my best friend from high school, Casey Riley. If he sees this, which I think he's deployed right now. Definitely one of my best friends. He's in the MARSOC program in the Marines, which is basically like the equivalent to a Navy SEAL, but in the Marines. So,
Yeah,
hoorah.
wow.
And another one of my very good friends, former roommate, very close with his family, law enforcement officer who is in the Army Reserves, is getting deployed after, he got delayed with the coronavirus, but after my dog's going crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, they're killing it.
He's getting deployed after all this coronavirus stuff is over.
Wow.
He was delayed because of it. So I mean, hey, stop! I'm interviewing. And then my whole family was in law enforcement. My dad was Broward sheriff for 30 years. So like I said, I fully support them, and especially the Freedom Fighter Outdoors. And what they do, it's amazing. I sat in the last thing that we did was actually a bass fishing tournament. It was out in the Everglades, and we missed second place by like 2 ounces.
Damn.
The veteran that we fished with caught a 5-pound largemouth bass, which is huge for the Everglades.
It's enormous.
Yeah. Most of the fish are out there are, a pound or less. And it was.
I mean, a 5-pound bass anywhere, it's pretty solid to me.
Yeah, he was so excited. I mean, it's weird. All those guys that when they first come together, because they, a lot of them think that what they do is like a scam, where it's like, hey, you're a veteran, you're disabled, you qualify for this, like, let's take you fishing, like, let's, you live out in the mountains, you're alone, you've got, you're whatever, you're overthinking situations and you're in a depressed state of mind or something like that. Let's go fish. And it's so weird. They'll get on the boat and they'll be, super quiet and to themselves and, really like introverted. And then all of a sudden they'll get on a fish, and it's like every single click of the drag, it's just like releasing all of that built up stress, anxiety, and depression. And then after they catch their first fish, they're like a totally different person for the rest of the day. And then, they're just like, they're normal guys. I mean, and they, they kind of come back to the reality that, there are great things to do out there, and the Freedom Fighters does that for them. So, it's, going to be a big part of my life helping them. And, like I said, I just started working with them. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely very, very excited to be a part of their organization.
Yeah, that's amazing. Definitely gonna have to look into to them right now.
Yeah.
Along with Project Healing Waters, which is focused more on the fly fishing side of it. But Freedom Fighters Outdoors sounds amazing. Gonna have to see if we can help them out at Captain Experiences.
Yeah, off record, they actually do. The captain of Captain Vinny Lasorsa is Jimmy Buffett's captain, and they have it's great.
There's no off record, by the way. We're just we're going with it.
Yeah. I mean, he so Jimmy Buffett
awesome.
has a couple of those Freeman catamarans,
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
And Jimmy was like, instead of selling they have like a 37 and then they have their new 42. You've probably seen it on Instagram. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Jimmy was like, hey, we're going to keep the 37 and we're going to charter it for charity. So all the proceeds go to Freedom Fighter Outdoors. And then they also work with a bunch of organizations that help like kids that have cancer. And, it literally the two most supported, easy to get behind things are veterans and children that have the worst disease in the world, cancer. So, maybe something for you to get into at a later date.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, so like I said, I fully support them, the military, everything, so.
Yeah, gotta look into that.
They make, some of them make the most ultimate sacrifice so that we can do what we do and live the life that we live. So
of course. Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you, Johnny, for everything you've done, with those programs. That's amazing. And, thanks for what you do, on a daily basis with just kind of regular folks too, that are just looking to go have a great time on the water. It's really, really important stuff. So, it's really refreshing to hear from someone like you, who is just really down to earth, and, just seems like a great personality to be out there with. So thanks for taking the time. Really cool.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that about wraps it up. Thanks a lot, Johnny. Your trips sound amazing. All the work you do with Freedom Fighters Outdoors and is also just so impactful. So good stuff. And, wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you can go out there and catch some more fish with some more people pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
How's everything been down there with, the coronavirus and the closures? Cause I've heard different things, honestly, out of Florida. Some people say all the boat ramps are closed. Some people say it seems totally normal.
They are all closed down here.
Wow.
We're totally shut down. I went tarpon fishing. I ended up going by land. But a boat ramp that was open on Sunday was closed last night.
Wow.
So it's like I drove around without the boat hooked up before, because we were going at 2:00 in the morning. We were trying to catch the tide and everything. And I drove around for like 45 minutes to all of the boat ramps in the area. There's a bunch of them, and every single one of them either had law enforcement there or just barricades up where it basically says if you enter, you're going to jail, kind of thing.
Wow.
So everything's completely shut down. It's it's nice in the sense that I've been able to do some R&D and just kind of go and fish around on my own time and my own schedule and reconnect with what I haven't been able to do for the last several months by myself. But at the same time, we're losing a ton of money down here. All the charter boat guys are just going completely broke, and there will be a lot less charter captains down here after this. The guys that were barely making it are not going to be here anymore. I know guys that are, they're selling their boats just to pay bills, and
wow,
it's really unfortunate. This is crazy. Hopefully the government, steps in and does some grants for the charter boat guys. There's a couple of organizations that are trying to help us out, which is definitely greatly appreciated. But, the other big thing too if everybody just went home and sucked it up for 2 or 3 weeks and stayed inside and let this kind of blow over, we'd be able to go back to normal a little faster. And people
Right.
are kind of resisting doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, hopefully people can stay inside, stay off the water. Go to captainexperiences.com, check out your trips and book a trip for when things kind of normalize and everybody can get back out there again.
oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I mean, hopefully we still have a little bit of the spring left for
Yeah.
when the peacocks are still kind of bedding a little bit. It makes them fun to sight cast, on fly and, on artificial. And I mean, the water warming up, I mean, literally all the peacocks and the clown knives both get so fired up when the water warms up. So, we're in that, I bet you the fishing's great right now in the lake. Even if it was, still had the same amount of pressure on it with the normal people, this is the best time of the year to fish, and we're sitting on our couches watching TV.
Yeah.
So,
well, soon enough.
Oh yeah, we're fingers crossed. We're waiting.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, Johnny, thanks again. Really excited for people to check out this interview. And yeah, hope you stay safe and everything through these crazy times.
Yeah, man. You too. Likewise. I appreciate you having me, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Take it easy.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye.